I appreciate that. I knew there was a good reason why I came here today. I was in my early 40s, a lot of life before me, when a moment came that stopped me on a dime. I spent most of the next days looking at the x-rays, talking about options, talking about sweet time. Live Like You Were Dying, sung by Tim McGraw, was on the radio of the vehicle as I was driving home after meeting with Dr. Maddox, and he had said the word that I didn't want to hear: cancer. Cancer. I hadn't been feeling well. Turns out I was anemic. A stool sample, yes, I get to share crap with you today. A stool sample showed that I was bleeding. I was told colon cancer. Sweet time. My father had died of cancer at 54. My brother had died of cancer at 37. My mother had already survived cancer twice, uterine cancer and breast cancer. And now, my turn. So we sectioned out part of the colon that had the cancer. Oh, they're going to do it arthroscopic. That's what they told me. I'll just have 5 itty-bitty little incisions. Don't worry. The cancer is only the size of a golf ball. No problem. We can get it out with no problem at all. This was 5 days after the CT scan, and the cancer had grown from the size of a golf ball to the size of a softball in 5 days. And so besides those 5 little scars, I had a scar extension because they had to cut to make a bigger hole to get it out. And there were fingers everywhere. It had spread into the lymph nodes. And so now comes that other C word, chemotherapy. And I began the chemotherapy process only to find out that my system really didn't respond well. It really diminished my white blood cell count so much that we began delaying the treatments. Well, we tried Neulasta, but I happened to be one of those that was allergic to it. You've heard the commercial on TV. One of the side effects, bone pain. Where in your body do you have bones? And imagine every bone in your body feeling like it had just been broken at the same time. It actually put me into unconsciousness. The pain was so extreme. Okay, so Neulasta's not going to work. So we began delaying the chemo treatments, and then finally the oncologist says, well, you know, your cancer indicator number just keeps going up. Your white blood count just keeps going down. We think we're going to have to stop the treatments. And so there it was. And you know, I like to ask him, well, what's that question? What are the chances? And he said, about 3 months. But you know, we hate to make a guess. And so I decided, okay, fine. I'm going to spend that 3 months. Okay, not like the Tim McGraw song. I wasn't going to go ride a bull. That's certainly not me. Neither was skydiving. But I did the closest thing to ride the bull. I went and hid out at a guest house in Silver Lake, Oregon. And just went out there to be. And at the main house one day, they were having a women's retreat. And I walked and I saw through the kitchen window, there were pots and pans just overflowing the kitchen sink. So I thought, I'll just sneak in the back door and wash the dishes. Because I hate sitting down and dying. I might as well die standing up doing something constructive. So I went in there and I'm washing dishes. And you ever try to wash pots quietly? It doesn't work. So the women came, and this women's retreat, they grabbed me, dragged me into the living room, sat me down in a chair, and all laid hands and prayed over me. It's really uncomfortable to be the center of attention like that, but I felt something. I felt love that you can only get from others. And the amazing thing is, I didn't die. So I became a relayer. And the reason I became a relayer is because the Relay for Life isn't just about raising funds. Oh, yes, it is, to raise money to help us to come and fight cancer. But you know what Relay is really about? The people. It's about you. Because the chemo only did so much for me. But it was the people who gathered around me, supported me, who encouraged me. I think they're the ones that brought the true healing of that cancer into my life. It's the people in my life that gathered around me. So I began relaying because we were walking together, shoulder to shoulder, because we weren't going to take this journey alone. We were going to do something about it. We were going to raise funds so that they could bring research so less people would have to die from this. But mainly we were going to be there to support each other. And I'm glad I did, because 14 years after my cancer was in remission, it came back. Imagine being in the office with my new oncologists. See, I was really lucky. 3 of my oncologists retired. It's good to outlive the longevity of your oncologist. So I'm now with Dr. Schmidt, and Dr. Schmidt said the cancer word again. This time I ended up at OHSU, so I'm so glad to hear that the American Cancer Society is supporting places like OHSU. And what was immediately what they said? The whole colon's got to go this time. And I thought to myself, well, what's the silver lining? Well, at least I can't be accused of being full of crap anymore. So we went in and took out the colon, and boy, that wasn't a good thing. 8 days in the hospital. But I wasn't alone. I wasn't alone. My fellow relayers were there with me. My friends, my family were there with me. They were supporting me. And that was 4 years ago, and I'm still a survivor. Relay, not just to raise money, because it's important. Remember I told you my mother had cancer twice before I had cancer? She's on cancer number 5 now. She now has kidney cancer, and she's going through an experimental program at Loyola University in Chicago. Imagine, when I was doing chemo, it was a fusion. I had a cord, it went through my whole body. My mother was getting the chemo directly into her kidney with a catheter. So the chemo drugs aren't being pumped through her whole body. And they're experimenting because of us helping them to find other ways. So I'm here relaying for you, but in a special way, I'm walking with my mother today as she struggles with cancer number 5, that she too can step away from this a survivor. So thank you, all you relayers, and thank you, our relay staff. We are all survivors supporting one another.